Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 346. I hope you are keeping well and safe wherever you are, whatever you're up to. Hope you are having a cracking week and that you've managed to all do something Doctor Who related. Indeedy. Welcome to 346, another week, another Big Blue Box episode. Make sure you're following the podcast on your preferred podcast app so you don't miss an episode when it lands every single Friday. You can also listen for free over on the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. Go and listen over there, plus check out the reviews and articles from the writing team. Jordan, Maria, Mark, Matt, Harry, go and check them all out. Some great stuff over there. We're also on the socials, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. There are links on the website. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week, and we have a free Discord server as well. Again, there's a link on the old website. Come and hop in there and chat some Doctor Who with other like-minded Who fans. And remember to check out Adam's channel over on YouTube. It is, of course, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, got a YouTube channel. I'm a YouTuber. That sounds like such a dated thing now, doesn't it? YouTube.
Yeah.
It's not cool anymore, is it? But I'm on there. Lots of good Doctor Who vids.
Of course it is, dude. You're part of the cool club still.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think TikTok's the new thing, isn't it?
You reckon?
They're all on TikTok.
You've mentioned that quite a few times, dude. Just jump in and do it.
I can't. One of my work colleagues showed me how to use it, and it was enough to put me off. I was just like, you do this and you have to film 10 clips. Oh, I couldn't stand it. I'll end up on it, of course.
You'll be fine.
Has Blue Box not got a TikTok? We don't got a TikTok. No. Are you resisting as well?
Well, because
we're off to the BFI on Sunday, we can get smashed and set up a TikTok. That'll be fun.
Do you know what, dude? It's just time. That's all it is. Yeah. If I had more time, if the Big Blue Box podcast was a full-time job, then of course we'd live on TikTok and all that.
Yeah.
But no, alas, not enough time. So that's the housekeeping out the way, the to-do list done, checked off. Go and do that stuff. No more rumours though this week about new casting people. Oh,
I look forward to this every week of some really random name being thrown in the mix.
Yeah,
Ben Shepherd is the new Doctor. I mean, nobody this week, no.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's just as we ramp up. This normally the rumours about the next Doctor normally ramps up. You normally get lots of names thrown around, but yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be. It's a very quiet week for that stuff.
Well, it makes a change actually, because it's getting a bit. Some of them are just ludicrous, getting a bit boring. Isn't it?
Ludicrous, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have had some clangers, haven't we? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Let's
be honest, but yeah, no rumours on that stuff, dude. But we did have a new trailer drop for Legends of the Sea Devils. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's a good trailer, wasn't it, actually? I thought it was a really good trailer. Looks like they've spent a bit of money on. There's a lot of CGI in the trailer, I noticed. Looks like it's going to be fun. Looks like it's going to be a fun app. I think Easter Sunday, I think it's the perfect day for a swashbuckling Sea Devil adventure as well. I don't know about you, it just feels... Easter Sunday feels like the perfect day to air it. So, and I think is it 7 o'clock or 7:10 or something like that?
Yes, yeah, I think so.
That it's going out. Mm-hmm. So that's a good time as well, because a couple of the other ones have been on at like 6 or earlier, and they've been, I think 7's good. You've just about had your dinner by then and you're settling down to watch a bit of TV. So it's a good day to watch it. It's a good time to watch it. Trailer looks fun. If a little cringe, I mean, my critical head was a little bit, it looks a bit cringe in places already, but I'm going to go with it's going to be a fun episode. But of course, as soon as I heard it was only 47 minutes, I decided not to bother watching it. True, but no, I didn't really. But there's a lot of I didn't, but there's a lot of fans absolutely distraught that it's 10 minutes shorter than they thought it was going to be, because it's been billed as a special, and I think we all assumed it'd be an hour, and it's actually 47 minutes, so it's a little bit under the runtime. Personally, I'm not bothered at all, to be honest, but I can see why people are a bit miffed by that. But what do you think? 47-minute special?
I
mean, it was thrown in sort of the last minute, wasn't it? And to me, there's still this confusion. Was this supposed to be the last Jodie episode, or was the centenary special Jodie's last, and this was the bonus one that they've sort of thrown in at the last minute? I'm very confused, but yeah,
I'm not sure.
Why it's short.
I think this was meant to be Jodie's last one. I think we had this discussion last week. We couldn't remember then either, not surprisingly, but I think this was meant to be Jodie's last one. And then the whole centenary thing with the BBC threw the spanner in that. And now this is the penultimate one. But
so it could just be that he's chopped off the regen then.
He's chopped.
It's just stuck it on the end of the centenary one.
Well, Chibbers, the episode is good. Why don't we keep it? We'll just lop off the regen at the end, pad it out a bit. Well, can't pad it out too much. Why don't we just knock 10 minutes off the runtime then? Yeah, go on then. That's a good compromise. Go on then.
It's going to be very random when you see a sea devil in the background of a story that's totally nothing to do with them in the centenary. Like Jenny starts regenerating, you're like, is that a sea devil in the background? What's that doing there?
What's that doing there? Yeah.
But what did you think of the? What do you think of the trailer? Think it's good?
Trailer's pretty good.
Get you excited?
Yeah. It did a little bit actually. Yeah. I think it's it did get the old inquisitive mind brain cells rocking a little bit because I mean this is probably going to annoy Jodie fans even more a little bit with this, but I'm not really too fussed about what's going to happen with the Doctor and Yaz in this particular episode anyway. I'm just more looking forward to how they treat the Sea Devils. How they because it's obviously a bit of a Jack Sparrow Pirates of the Caribbean sort of jobby with this, which you can tell with the with the whole skull and crossbones-esque type of thing on the flag with the Sea Devils and all that. So I'm looking forward to it just to see how they do that, because the Sea Devils are a sort of a rare what's the word? Sort of a rare classic, excuse the pun, where they appeared in a belter of an episode back in the day, obviously, but they've not been overused. So this is the first time that we've really had a good look into what a modern writer's going to do with them. So I'm more intrigued from that perspective rather than what the Doctor's going to be up to, which, rightly or wrongly, I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, no, I sort of echo that. I mean, somebody was saying, I can't think who it was, but I agreed with it, that it's funny how like you get monsters like the Sea Devil that have hardly really been in the show, and yet they're so well known. And it made me think of the Zygons before they were brought back, because they were such a well-known monster, and yet they were for a long time were only in one story, from the Tom Baker era in the 70s. So it's strange, isn't it, how some monsters are so good that even just by having one or maybe two appearances, Warriors of the Deep and Sea Devils, or were they in the Silurians? I can't remember.
They were in it.
Oh, my mind has melted over the years. But anyway, they've not been around much. And so, I really hope it does them justice. I think that's the only thing I'm really worried about, really, is that the Sea Devils are decent in it, because I really love the Sea Devils as a story. I think it's one of my favourite Third Doctor stories. I mean, the trailer, it kind of is exactly what I'd expect. You got Jodie gawping, and she makes the odd humorous remark, and there's a lot of. It looks, as I said, it looks like it's going to be fun, but it's kind of this. It's what I'd expect from this era. It's exactly what we've seen before, and in terms of the writing style, you can already tell what it's going to be like, I think. But it is exciting that the Sea Devils are thrown in, and that's the thing I'm excited for more than anything. I just hope they're treated decently and they get a decent story. I think that's the thing that's slightly worrying me, but yeah. I just want to come out of it saying, if nothing else, the Sea Devils were cool in that, and I do like the redesign or the slight tweak that they've had. I think they look pretty cool on screen from what I've seen. So looks promising.
It does actually. Yeah, it does look promising. So we'll see. As always, we'll see what the Chibinator has done with this. It's always a bit of a sort of sweaty bum time, isn't it, when you have a modern writer that's picked up a classic, such a well-loved and well-liked classic alien or monster, and has planted it in modern Who. And because I guess there's just that little bit of added pressure that comes with it, because you're not just trying to write a good Doctor Who story. You're also trying to carry that bit of fandom love with it along the way. So there's a little bit of we don't want to screw this up. Is it
co-written with someone, this one? It's not just Chippers, is it? I think this one, has he had a co-writer? Or is it just him? I can't remember. I had a feeling he'd co-written this one.
I can't remember. He might have done, yeah.
Which is probably good. I find the episodes where he co-writes with someone normally are a bit better. So
yeah, I think so. Well, we had that with the last series, didn't we? With series
with Flux
12.
Oh, 12 as well. But yeah, Flux, the Angel one, was written with somebody else, and that's probably the standout episode from Flux, wasn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the one where he that was one of the better ones. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So Easter Sunday, you'll be watching live, will you, or have you got family stuff? You're going to be watching this one live?
I will probably watch it live, or I'll watch it a bit later on in the evening. I don't know yet.
I'm not sure. I want to watch it live, but that is the only other thing. I might also be at my parents'. It depends, but I'll definitely be trying to watch it live. I always prefer that because, you sort of feel like you're watching it with people, if that makes sense. When it goes out, you're like, everyone else is sat down to watch it at the same time, but like a virtual fandom room. But and also, you don't want to see spoilers afterwards as well. So I'm definitely going to try and watch this live, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good. Even up to anything else Who related? A
little bit. I listened to a bit of Big Finish a couple of days ago. It was RTD. He wrote that... that he sort of found this script that he wrote in like 1985 or something in his loft, and he sent it to Big Finish, and they got I think it was Scott Hancock to help him finish it.
Like that, was it?
Yeah, Mind of the Hodiak.
Sorry.
Yeah, I wish I listened to that the other day. A bit slow going, but overall enjoyable. I found the first episode a bit underwhelming. I think because it was Russell, I was expecting something amazing, and I think our writer Mark might have done a review of it. I don't know if it's up on the site yet. Or did he just post on Twitter that he loved it or something? I can't remember. Mark posted something about it on Twitter, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he made of it. But nothing special, dude. I don't know. Maybe just having the RTD tag made my expectations a bit high, but it was enjoyable enough. Certainly worth a listen. And the only other thing I've done is I met John Bishop the other day.
Oh, I saw. Very cool.
Dan the Van Man, yeah. And that was at just before one of his shows. He was doing one of his shows local to me. And I went to the stage door, met him beforehand, and because I've heard that he's really, really nice to meet. Like so many of my friends have met him before the show and said, "Oh no, he really is great. He loves it. He loves meeting people." So I was like, "Okay," because you're never sure, not everybody wants to be bothered at the stage door, so you're never sure. But I had a really good chat with him, and he was, as everybody has said to me, really, really nice. Was just signing for people. It's probably just a handful of us there. Just seemed a good laugh, and I said to him, somebody mentioned conventions about Jodie and Mandit being at the recent convention. He said, they said it was crazy, they said it was mad, but they loved it. And I said, do you fancy doing that, John? Are we going to see you at LFCC in July maybe? Hint hint. And he's like, do you know what, he goes, I like meeting people, but I don't want to be sat at a desk signing for hours and then. He goes, I much prefer doing this. I much prefer just meeting people before the show and stuff. And I was like, that's interesting. So that was kind of nice in a way, because it made me feel good about being there, because as I said, you're never sure whether, obviously a celebrity is hopefully going to be nice to you, but you're never sure in their head if they're going, for goodness sake, I've got a show to do in half an hour and there's these people bothering me or whatever. You're not, but he genuinely seemed to be like enjoying meeting people. So we may or may not see him at conventions, because it sounds like he's would rather just meet people on the street. But top guy, really nice guy.
Top guy.
Yeah, it was good meeting.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, that he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I was going to say, it would have been, I did joke beforehand. I said, it'd be just typical if we catch him on the day when he's having a really bad one. He's like, how you can bleep off sort of thing. But no, he wasn't. He was lovely.
Yeah, this is not a Clara situation.
Oh no, we don't go down that route. No, definitely it's the absolute opposite of meeting her. But I did joke with him as well because he had sort of a good bit of time really with him, and I did joke. I said, "Are we going to see you whacking a sea devil with a wok this Sunday?" And he laughed. He's like, "Oh, I can't say, but you're gonna enjoy it," sort of thing. So that was nice. And my friend Adam, who I was with, Tall Lad, our friend, who's done a little bit of work on the series recently, had his production 13 T-shirt on, saying staff or whatever. And John Bishop immediately noticed it. He's like, "Hey, dude, are you part of the team?" And he's like, "Yeah, we never got to meet because I was sort of behind the scenes," and they had a really good chat and all that sort of stuff. But it's literally the first thing he noticed as well. So, yeah, top guy, John Bishop. It was a really good meeting, that was.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So a little bit of who stuff. But no, apart from that, nothing else to do. Just gearing up for our Wurzel Gummidge screening on Sunday, which I can't wait for at the BFI. I'm really looking forward to going to that.
Yeah, a bit of Wurzel, a bit of Pertwee, a bit of classic.
Yes.
Classic Pertwee is all good. I haven't done anything Who-related this week, dude, other than watch the Sea Devils trailer a couple of times and a bit of Torchwood. Yeah.
Yes, a bit of Torchwood. It's going to be an interesting review, I think, this one.
Yes, yeah. Before we get on to all that, though, shall we hop in the TARDIS and see what's going on?
Bit of news, is it? Right.
So, as we've mentioned in the very important first segment of the podcast, which is the useless waffle, we have a broadcast time and runtime confirmed now for Legend of the Sea Devils, which we didn't have last week. We just knew that it was going to drop on the 17th of April. So now set your alarm clocks for 10 past 7 p.m. here in the UK. And the runtime is 50 minutes, so just shy of an hour. Now, didn't you say that there were some peeps kicking off, like absolutely going berserk because it's not an hour and it's 50 minutes?
Of course. Like Doctor Who fans love to have a good old moan about everything, don't they, these days? Yeah, Twitter's gone crazy because it's not an hour long.
Jesus
it's so entitled, isn't it? It's like, I demand an hour.
I demand. So, hold on, let me just go back and look at your Twitter last week. You don't agree with the BBC. You don't like paying your licence fee. You want the BBC defunded. But you want an hour's worth of Doctor Who that costs significantly more. Okay, right. Okay, that makes complete 100% sense. Anyway, yeah, so just under an hour, dude. I don't mind that, I don't mind that because well, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot now saying that. I know it. But typically speaking, when you have these very cool little isolated episodes, it tends to be more of a fun sort of adventure, isn't it, within that contained time frame. When you're dealing with like a larger story arc, you need obviously more time to progress your characters and your story and stuff like that. But I think the 50-minute runtime is pretty sweet because you're not sort of pricking your phone up at 40 minutes in, thinking, "Oh Christ, I feel like I've been here forever," and there's still 20 minutes left to go. It's I don't know, just shaving off those few minutes, I think will be a good thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd rather it be 50 minutes and be good than have an extra 10 minutes where you're thinking, come on, wrap it up now, sort of thing. So, but if it's 50 minutes and you're still thinking that, then that is worrying.
Yeah.
but
Do you know what, dude? 25 minutes in, you're like, for God's sake, Chibbers, come on.
Oh, no, don't. It could happen.
I don't think so. I think this will be good. I think it will be a good thing. I'm just hoping, please, Jibbers, come on, that the Sea Devils make up the majority of that runtime. This is not we don't need 15 minutes of exposition and in-your-face environmental political messages. We just don't need it. We don't need it. We need a fun adventure for a nice springboard into the final episode. We don't need drab, like the oceans are full of plastic, that's why the Sea Devils have cut. We don't need that. We don't need to hear that.
Talking to the ocean, actually, you've just reminded me, the other thing that Twitter's going mad about with this trailer is people think the creature at the start in the water or whatever is the Merker. Which I would love that if it is. I would. Chibbers would get a little bonus point if that turns out to be the Merker. What do you reckon? Could it be?
There's always time for a Merker.
Come
there?
on,
Always time.
that would get me off to a great start if the Merca's in there. But if he's sort of got his paw trapped in a plastic bottle, and then
Well, we spoke about the Merca on the round table recently when we were talking about the Sea Devils special stuff.
Yeah,
and we were talking about the Merca. So this is a great opportunity to redeem itself because, unfortunately for the Merca back in Warriors of the Deep, it was filmed so terribly that it does need a bit of redemption, I think. So if that is the Merca, then that could be a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, by strange coincidence, we're recording this on Thursday, but yesterday on my .2 calendar, the one where you rip off a page every day, you've got this as well. It just so happened to be
it's a sign. It's a sign.
But that was yesterday, but he's still on there because I haven't torn the page off today. But yeah, it is a sign. I feel like the Merca could be returning, which would be, I think, a pretty cool thing. I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet, dude.
If it doesn't, though, Twitter will be going mad again. Oh, what a missed opportunity! And yeah,
of course, yeah. Well, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, bring back the Merca, definitely. Yep. Right. So, in other news, congratulations to, and this guy's body of work is quite incredible actually when you look into it. Garry Russell, who won the Terence Dicks Award for writers at the recent Capital 5 event, wasn't it, in the Crown Plaza in Gatwick. So Russell has had a massive long collection with Doctor Who, with script editor on Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood. He's written loads of Doctor Who novels over the years. He's done loads, hasn't he? We Googled him earlier. I mean, we know the name Garry Russell, but we weren't aware of just how much he's done over the years. So he received this award, which was it was a statue of the Master, Delgado's Master, which was created by Gary Glover from Moodcrest Models. Awesome statue. I mean, I would love this on my shelf. I'm sure Gary was well chuffed with it. And he said on receiving the award, "To be the recipient of this integral award is an honour, a pleasure, a scary responsibility I could never have expected. Terence was an inspiration, a mentor above all, a good friend. Thank you to the Dwas and to Elsa and to the boys for this amazing award." So yeah, it's the Terence Dicks Award that he's won for writers.
That's amazing, dude. Very cool.
It's a great statue. I'd love it. It's a good likeness to Delgado. It's sort of a bronze statue, a full figure statue of him. Looks amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and thank you to Rick from the Dwas as well. He sent a close-up picture for us on Twitter the other day. It looked very cool.
He did, yeah.
Yes, this is very cool. I mean, like you said, we Googled Garry Russell's stuff earlier, and we were just scrolling endlessly, going through all the things that he'd done. So, yeah, and the whole point of this award is to award people that have made a really good contribution to the world of Doctor Who through their writing, and Garry Russell is absolutely worthy of that and some. So yeah, this is very, very cool. Yeah, good on you, Garry. Good name as well. Good. Right, who's going to win the next one then next year? Maybe
Russell.
Maybe Moffat. He'll turn up absolutely smashed with a. He'll walk up to the table still holding a bottle of wine and just drink it out the bottle and be like, "Give me that." Who knows? Yeah,
he gets the Anthony Ainley crafted model. He's like, "I want the Delgado."
Oh, crikey! Yeah. Right. Okay, that's news. News. So, Sea Devils is on at 7:10 here in the UK. Check your local, like wherever you're listening. If you're in Australia or the US, Canada, whatever, check your local stuffs. But 7:10 here in the UK, and Garry Russell has bagged the very first Terence Dicks Award for writers, which is very cool. So that's out of the way. Review time, dude. What we got?
So yes, we're finally on the last day of Torchwood Children of Earth, day 5.
Civilization's about to fall into hell. Do you think you're still players?
We can try.
Captain Harkness, it's me, it's Lois. What do we do?
But you've seen what they do to them!
Where are you taking them?
I'm recording this so you can see. You can see how the world ended.
Ooh. Children of Earth, day 5. We're finally here, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, if you think this was shown all in 1 week, wasn't it, before? So you would have watched one a night, and we've watched, this does feel a long time coming, actually. We've sort of spread it out quite a bit, and obviously we've had recording breaks and stuff, so it feels a long time coming, this, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
But we're finally here, day 5, yeah.
We are here. So this one was first broadcast back on the 10th of July 2009, and it was written by Russell T Davies, directed by Euros Lyn. And the synopsis for the final part is Torchwood is defenceless and Gwen Cooper stands alone. As anarchy prevails, an ordinary council estate becomes a battleground for the future of the human race. All right then, dude. What did you reckon to... We'll talk about the whole thing a bit later on, but just this as a final episode, what did you think?
Yeah, so... I've said a few times whenever we've reviewed day whatever that we've really enjoyed this so far, this series, and we kept saying, and we hope it has a good payoff because it's been really good, better than we remember, better than we thought. And I did keep saying, it's strange because I can't remember how it ends, and I can't remember the last episode at all, and yet I've probably seen it at least twice over the years, but I can't remember it. I now, having watched it again last night, think I know why. I think the trauma of it has blocked my memory, has made me try to forget, because it's so dark. It's such a dark episode, but it is brilliant. I thought it was I really enjoyed it, but it is bleak as hell. I mean, it's much darker than I remembered in tone. I mean, the stuff happening with the kids and Frobisher's family, and as if that isn't bad enough, what Jack does at the end with his daughter's son. I mean, I don't know how I could have forgotten this ending, apart from just blocking it out of my mind because of the trauma of it, because it's so disturbing. But absolutely brilliant. I thought it was a really good conclusion to the series, to the Children of Earth story. Not perfect. I mean, there's bits here and there that perhaps could have been tightened up. There's a lot of sort of running around and stuff, so maybe a little bit of padding, I would say. But for me, it wrapped it up nicely, and it gave some real shock value. There's a couple of really strong scenes that made me sit up and go, whoa, that really sort of grabbed my attention. And yeah, I kept thinking as well, after all the stuff that happens, and we'll go through it obviously, but all the stuff that happens in this episode that is quite, grim. I kept thinking, how are they going to end like the last scene? Because you can't have all this death and misery and then just have them turning up and being like all laughing and joking and, hey, Gwen, we saved the world. I thought this is the most serious adult, bleakest Torchwood we've had. And you can't just then wrap it up in a good way, but also you can't leave your viewers feeling down. You've got to somehow find a way to have a good ending. And I kept thinking right up to the last minute, how are they going to do that? How's Russell gonna finish this off and not leave us feeling utterly depressed by the end of it? And he kind of does it. I mean, I would say he turns the ending from a very bleak, depressing ending to an emotional ending. So he can't go for happy, because it just wouldn't work. You can't switch the tone like that. But he does manage to make it a nice emotional ending, and I found it quite satisfying. I still sat there afterwards just feeling like, whoa, that was something. That was brave. That was, it's brave to do that stuff in a Torchwood episode, especially the Frobisher's family bit. But it did leave me feeling like I really enjoyed that series. I thought it was a really good series. But wow, what an episode, eh? And I know that I'm going to go over to you now, but I know that you needed a stiff drink after watching this, and you don't even drink. So particularly, you're not much of a drinker like me, but go on, hit me with your thoughts. What did you think when you finished watching it?
I did need a drink, buddy.
Yeah.
I did.
I bet.
Yeah.
In a good way, though, did you think it was good, or was it just too bleak for you?
I did think it was good, yeah. I thought it was a really, like you said, I think you nailed it. I think it was a real brave move from Russell to not turn it into a sort of light-hearted, yay, we've defeated the aliens and now we're going to go back to the hub and make tea and reminisce about the ones we've lost, but also have a laugh and a crack. You know, it would have, it just wouldn't suited the tone of the whole story, really. So, but the thing is, dude, it's just bloody dark and bleak.
It is dark.
And it kind of hits you out of nowhere as well, because you think with Doctor Who and Torchwood in general, and the 99% of the time, you do think like they're on the ropes for the majority of the story, but of course they're going to bounce back at some point and they're going to defeat the aliens, and it's going to be kind of happily ever after in this case, because we've already lost Yanto, and you know, so it's kind of like that. But it wasn't even that. It was just yes, they did manage to stop the aliens and get rid of them, but bloody hell, at the cost though. I mean, that there were two moments in the episode that just floored me. That made me just sat there on the sofa for about 5 minutes just watching a blank TV screen at the end. So we'll get into more detail, but obviously the bit where Frobisher just murders himself and his family because he thinks that that's a better outcome than his children being sent off with the aliens so they could be... Oh, and then actually there's three things. The second thing is when Jack sacrifices his own grandson.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
You know, and then the third thing, I guess, is the reason why the aliens are there in the first place. That's just dreadful. That's just...
Oh, God, yeah, that, yeah,
you know,
I know.
It's just awful. So
it made me think what's going on in Russell's mind, actually, a bit.
He was having a bad week when he wrote this one, wasn't he?
Must have it, yeah.
But the thing is, it's not... In a way, that's a really good thing that those dark things happened, because we've said so many times when we've reviewed all of Torchwood up to Children of Earth, those first two series, that it often suffers with trying to be adult for the sake of being adult, just because it's Torchwood. So they often toss in these sex scenes and a bit of swearing and stuff to make it kind of feel like, yeah, we're the cool kids because we're on late night TV, we're part of Doctor Who, but we're also part of the adult cool gang, so we can swear and be sexy and stuff like that. And oftentimes it's a case of, well, you didn't really need to do that. It doesn't aid any, you know, it doesn't do anything with the story. It doesn't move the plot along. It doesn't do any character progression. It's just there. Whereas this, it was proper adult dark stuff, but it was absolutely 100% just felt normal in this context of the story. It was just there because it needed to be a thing. So bleak and dark and difficult to watch, but needed it within the tone and the narrative, if you know what I mean. So, but I thought it was a great ending to the thing and another great story. I think this is probably this is peak Torchwood, I think.
Absolutely, definitely, yeah. And it really left me wanting more as well. So when Jack goes off at the end and you think to yourself, so where does Torchwood go from here? And it's good in a way to finally see things catching up with Jack, because he finally sort of acknowledges that it's too much for him. Like the bravado has got at this point has been dropped, because he acknowledges like Owen and Tosh and Yanto, and they've all died, and this just can't carry on, and it's, you know, I can't carry on with this. And you think it's about time really that all that stuff did catch up with Jack. And Barrowman plays that brilliantly, by the way. I think the end scene between him and Gwen and Reese is great. So it's, you know, I think it's right, and it does feel like peak Torchwood. It really left me wanting more, and of course I know that the next series is Miracle Day, which I have only watched once on transmission. I really didn't enjoy it. I mean, we are going to review it, and I'm after watching this, I am really looking forward to watching it again to see why I didn't enjoy it, whether I enjoy it more this time round. Do I appreciate it more on a rewatch, which I'm really hoping I do, because, yeah, from my memory, this is the best series of Torchwood, Children of Earth, and we go from this to Miracle Day, which I remember not enjoying at all. So I'm interested to go on to that from this point and see how they pick it up. And there are obvious things which I don't think happen. Like, I thought Lois was a great character, and I don't think we really find out what happens to her. She just gets left in the cell. And I was thinking she would have been a great member of Torchwood. So did they draft her in? I don't think they do, but that could have been an option. And there was someone else, actually, I thought could have been a good member of Torchwood, but I forget who. But yeah, there are strands left in this series, enough to really sort of warrant the next series, and you could have picked up those strands. From what I remember, they don't. I think Miracle Day kind of moves in a much different direction from what I remember. But so long ago since I've seen it, I can't think. But yeah, it's it's definitely left me wanting more as well, which was good.
Yes, no, I'm the same. I'm with you on that, dude. Same feelings where you didn't really want it to end. I mean, we mentioned earlier that we spread this out over a couple of months, for obvious reasons. But I imagine if you were watching this each night over it went out across 5 days, you would have felt like, not shortchanged, but you would have felt like this is not obviously a full series of Torchwood like we've had before. So what were the previous ones? They were like 20 episodes or 18 or something like that. Quite a lot, quite a few.
It is an odd concept that now, doesn't it? Can you imagine that? Because I mean, I would have watched this when it went out every night, but that does seem an odd idea now because it's like getting it all in 1 week, and then you probably didn't have any Torchwood for a long time. So what was the gap? This was 2009. When did Miracle Day start? I think it was quite a while after, wasn't it?
Miracle Day started
2011.
A couple of years later, yeah. Well, there was a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff though that changed, right? So after Children of Earth, Russell had assumed that this was the very last Torchwood, the very last one. But there was some funding and production stuff that happened behind the scenes, and the next one, was it Miracle Day, isn't it? Yeah. It was like a sort of co-British North American production thing. So that sort of came out of the blue, really. So I think from Russell's point of view, this was the last, certainly in the early days of when he sort of conceptualized the story and what would happen. He must have envisaged that this would have been the last time, because it does, in a way, it does cap off Torchwood reasonably nicely, I suppose, because at the end, when you see Gwen and Reese go off nicely together because there's a little bit of a wobble early on in the story where she's like,
a little wobble, yeah.
She doesn't want to bring a child into the world as it is now, and he's like, you're not getting rid of the baby, and she's like, I am. So, but then later on, we see that lovely side of Gwen where she's like, I never would have got rid of it. And so, well, that got me, that bit. That did get me.
Oh, yeah.
And
she said, I wouldn't do that to you as well. Again, the
yeah.
relationship between those two is so strong at this point. Is good as well.
Yeah, so you get the feeling that Gwen and Reese would have gone off, lived their life happily, had the baby, all good. Jack has decided to just abandon Earth altogether. He's gone off on his travels alone. He doesn't want... He's just cut up, isn't he? The fact that since he's been here on Earth running Torchwood, he's lost person after person. People have died. He blames himself, obviously, and the sort of straw that broke the camel's back was having to sacrifice his grandson, which you could tell that was completely... I don't know, we'll get onto that scene, but yeah, that completely tore him up. So he's gone off, he's no sign at the moment of him coming back. So that would have rounded off Torchwood, obviously in a dark way, not a happy ending, but it would have rounded it off, I think. So, I'm not sure on Miracle Day. It's like we've said all the time when we review Torchwood that we can't really remember in great detail some of these stories because it was a while ago, but I'm pretty sure this is the best that Torchwood's ever been. I don't think Miracle Day sort of gets you as excited to watch the next one and the next one like this one did. But
no, but why? I'm wondering why though, because I mean it's difficult to sort of look back now and sort of put it into context of where Doctor Who and Torchwood were in line with each other, because this was obviously Torchwood was still really popular. It was getting really good viewing figures. So what was the reason for Russell ending it? Was it because he was moving on? Is this because I'm not very good with timelines? Is this because Russell was leaving Doctor Who, or 2009? When would that have been? I'm just wondering what the reason was. I'm assuming it's not because the BBC didn't want more, because it was really popular. So I'm wondering, or maybe Russell just decided, okay, I'm done with it, I'm moving on. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's ever been publicised anywhere. The only information we've got is in the book The Writer's Tale. And the only thing that Russell mentions, I think anyway, I haven't read it in a while, but I think the only thing that he mentions in it is there was meant to be a closing shot at the end of this episode that said, like a computer screen that says Torchwood status terminated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the last minute, Russell decided to take that out because he didn't want viewers to think that Torchwood had been cancelled. You know, he didn't want to give the impression that BBC had pulled the plug on the show. So it's probably more so that Russell had just decided to move on and just work on other things, probably.
I get you. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, I was going to say, because it's at the height of its popularity, like you said, it's at this point for me, it's just like at its peak as well. So it's just interesting that it was seen at the time as being the end of Torchwood, you know, the final.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, dude. So moving on to some more detailed story elements then. So I'd say this is the most simplistic of the 5 episodes to me. In the previous 4, there were certain threads that were going on. You had like this sort of X-Filey undercover agent sort of things that were happening previous to that, where Torchwood had to go underground essentially and, you know, infiltrate the government and so on, which is where Lois came in, you know, such a good character with that. And so a little bit sort of non-Torchwood-esque, whereas this one, all the cards are on the table at this point. So nobody's hiding anything. So Captain Jack has been captured. Gwen and Reese are with PC Andy at this point, and they've gone off to find Yanto's sister to save her and the children and whatnot. And the alien is standing, you know, very stubborn, like, because they get to a point where they haven't got enough kids to sacrifice. They've only got 80%, and the alien's like, no, I want all of them. And so everybody knows where they stand. It's all there. So it's the most simplistic for me. So what did you think to the story as we went from the beginning of the episode to the end, in terms of it wasn't so much of it was more of a gradual build up to the finale for me, more of a classic story style rather than the sort of up and down roller coaster that we had in the previous episodes?
Yeah, I suppose out of all the days, it's probably the least interesting, only because, like you said, there's the other days have all thrown up questions. By day 5, we've kind of got answers to all those questions, and all it really is like the kickoff. It's like tying everything up. So in that sense, it's the least interesting of all the days, but it doesn't mean it's any less enjoyable for it, because it does have all the sort of shock elements and action that keep it, you know, up to the standard of the other episodes. I'd say it just doesn't have any, like you said, all the way through up to this point, we've been trying to work things out. What does the 456 want? What did the government do before? And we've had some really good payoffs, like the shocking realization that it was Jack that gave the children away halfway through. I mean, that was a fantastic moment. So we've had some really good sort of, like you said, roller coaster up and down moments. This episode is just all about tying all those elements up, and I think it does it well. And I think, although the scenes are shocking, I think it needs them really to make it the episode that it is. Because if you took out Frobisher murdering his family, which is a horrific scene, I kept thinking, God, what did Capaldi think when he read that in the script? I mean, it's just, and it's handled so well as well, because it's the way that the secretary, what's her name? Is it Rebecca? Bridget. She's telling the story as we see Frobisher getting the gun and walking upstairs with it behind his back and going in the children's bedroom. It's really heavy stuff. I mean, and I think, like you said, it totally suits Torchwood. You could never do that in Doctor Who. I think if that sort of thing was in Doctor Who, it's a step too far. I think with Torchwood, they just tread the line right. It's incredibly shocking, but it's handled in a way that it totally works. So yeah, overall, I thought it was a good episode, but yeah, maybe I still think it's as good as the other episodes, but it's probably the weaker in the sense that all the cards are on the table, like you said, so you're just kind of tying everything up, but then you've got to do that. And I suppose that's really my only downside to it, really, is I did feel like the 456 were defeated very quickly and a bit too easily, but part of me just thinks, yeah, at this point you just kind of need that to wrap the story up, and then you obviously get the other side of that, the fact the way they're defeated with Jack's grandson is so shocking that it does work, but they were defeated a little bit too easily. In terms of Jack figures out the signal thing very quickly, that guy's been working on it for 40 years and Jack solves it in like 2.5 minutes. You know, it's a little bit convenient and a quick wrap up. But I don't mind it at all because of the way it's handled and the stuff with his grandson, which is just leaves you open mouthed. So I thought overall it was still a very good, well written episode, and it's kind of, with any story like this, it's so difficult to probably think of good ways to wrap it up and make you feel satisfied with the conclusion. And I did feel satisfied with it. I didn't sort of get to the end of it and think, after all that, it wasn't a flux situation where I got to the end and thought, God, that could have been brilliant. What a rubbish ending. It's like, this did leave me satisfied. So in that sense, I think it was a good episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Frobisher's character first then.
Yeah.
Because I felt so sorry for him, because you almost thought that he's been treated like beep throughout the series anyway.
Yeah.
So the Prime Minister has essentially used him as a puppet. Completely 100% dispensable. Doesn't care about him one iota.
Prime Minister, man.
Yeah. What a I'm really struggling to yeah. Yes. So he's completely used him from beginning to end. And this was the real excuse me, you almost thought, surely not. It's a completely heartless move, because there's one thing to treat your colleague. Well, he doesn't really view him as a colleague, does he? He just views him as just a servant to do whatever he wants. There's one thing to treat him like that, but then to involve his children and his wife in that stuff, and essentially, as well as sacrificing him, because he's going to get. He would just imagine if Frobisher went through with it. Imagine if the aliens had succeeded and they took the kids and Frobisher had sacrificed his kids. He probably would have ended up killing himself anyway. There's no way that he would have been able to live with that. So the Prime Minister has effectively sacrificed him, or made him sacrifice himself, either way, but has also made him sacrifice his own kids. So you think, come on, surely that's not going to be a... And this is what we were saying earlier about Russell being a bit of a dark place, it seems, but surely he wouldn't do that. So that was heartbreaking, that scene. And what made it worse for me was the fact that it was just that good old storytelling technique where your mind makes up the images of him shooting his kids and his wife and then killing himself, because it's just so well done as well. That is really well done. Like you said, when she's in the jail cell with Alice, because you
wonder where that's going, don't you? She starts telling this story and you're like, what's this about? What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a twist to that, which they reveal towards the end.
Twist,
but
yeah,
it's like she's saying he's a good man, he's doing all this stuff and he's dedicated his life to his work, sort of thing, and he's a good man. He's not perfect, but he's done all this stuff, and it's just completely, from Frobisher's point of view, for those scenes in his house, they're completely speechless. Literally, there's no dialogue that you can hear. And then when he goes across the land and he's got the gun behind his back, he shuts the door, and then you think that's worse, because now my mind is making up these horrific scenes where he's, so that it was really well done, and that stuck with me afterwards. That was one of the scenes, as it probably did everybody that watched it. But that was hard to watch, because if that had been an episode of Doctor Who or Sarah Jane or something, which obviously wouldn't have been as dark as this anyway, but all of that just wouldn't have happened. Frobisher just wouldn't be around, and then there'd be some line that was dropped in later, like, oh yeah, Frobisher managed to take his children and his wife and they escaped, and everything was fine. So yeah, it was dark, dude, but needed though, right? Needed.
Yeah, I was going to say what was weird watching that is because, as I said, it's a while since I've watched this, and I have forgotten all of it, honestly. But it was a bit like a sort of slow flashback coming to me as I saw him open the box and the kids going upstairs. I was like, oh no, I remember this now. Oh no, I know what he does. And then you see him with the gun behind his back, and you're like, oh god, no, I'd forgotten this. He shoots the family. Oh god. And it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. But so, yeah, like you said, just well handled. It showed you exactly what it needed to show without being gory, or it just left it, you knew what happened. You didn't need to see it or anything like that. And yeah, just Capaldi's face as well. I mean, god, he's so good in it. He has been brilliant in this series as well. It's so strange to think that he goes on to be the Doctor, because although he looks the same pretty much, he feels like a completely different character.
Yeah,
and
he does.
but when the Prime Minister was telling him about his kids being, your kids have got, you've got to be an example, your kids have got to be inoculated, the performance in that room, and you just wanted to, if you were Frobisher, you'd have punched the Prime Minister's lights out, wouldn't you? Just no way you'd ever let that happen. And for the Prime Minister to think that you would ever go through with that, I think is, but it made for a really great scene. But do you know what was also great about that was this character Bridget, his secretary, which is she's just been a little sideline character really up until this point, really pushed her character forward. And what I loved about the writing was, we get this backstory about her and Frobisher, which was just hinted at with one line, wasn't it? Back in episode whatever, where she said, you wouldn't have been, she's sort of insinuating that Lois has had a bit of a thing with him, which of course she hasn't, but she's like, you weren't the first. And we think, oh, maybe her and Frobisher have had a bit of a thing at some point. But it's a throwaway line, and it comes full circle in this, where it's not so much that they've had an affair, but she has a respect for Frobisher, and there's obviously been a little bit of something there, I think. But it's all about the fact that he is a good man, and she's got to know him over the years and all his silly little ways, and he's so clumsy. And suddenly that one little throwaway line has become a really nice, like you said, a very emotional backstory, isn't it? When she says, John, just remember this, John Frobisher is a good man. And then while she's telling that, you've got all this really horrific stuff going on with him shooting his family. It's, again, just very nicely written, I thought. Very dark, but very well handled and very, very well written, I thought. But it was great to see Bridget coming forward. I mean, she's superb at the end when the Prime Minister's being all smug. And she's like, oh, I also took out the contact lenses and all this, and I'm filming you right now. I thought, what a brilliant scene. You almost want to cheer and say, yeah, go, Bridget. Like, I just thought that was brilliant and completely wiped that smug smile off the Prime Minister's face. I mean, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's really selling that. I mean, you really don't like his character, and he's really playing that quite well, the smug Prime Minister. But yeah, Rebecca, what a great character, eh? And she's just sort of been in the background. She's had a few good moments, but she really comes to the forefront in this, doesn't she?
She does. And like you said, up to now, she's just been a bit of a side character that's been a little bit grumpy, a little bit miserable, and looking out for Frobisher because she's kind of dedicated her work alongside him. She's stood by him.
Did I say Rebecca? I meant Bridget.
We knew what you meant.
I think I said that. Yeah, cool, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so she stood by him and all that, which is really good. And then there is a scene where she's just staring at the Prime Minister, and you think, oh, she's not happy at all, because she's obviously aware of what's going on. And you think to yourself, if there was a way she could get back at him, she would absolutely do it. And then we do get a nice payoff at the end where she does get back at him with the lenses and stuff. So that's a cool twist. But yeah, she had a really good story, this one. Up to now, she's just been the sort of frumpy, moody assistant.
Yeah, you just think she's a bit jealous because there's a younger assistant coming, really. You think that's all it is, and it's quite nice that there's so much more to it. When you think about this, mate, think about all because I'm just thinking about the characters as well. We've got Frobisher, we've got Bridget, we've got PC Andy's thrown in, we've got Yanto's sister and his family, we've got Torchwood themselves. You've got that other guy that's been working on the 456 for 40 years. Can't remember his name. That guy who gets shot in the leg very randomly at the end. That was a bit weird. There's Russell is juggling a lot of elements here, isn't he? There's a lot of stuff going on, and yet in my mind, and I think you agree by the sounds of it, he's really making it work. It doesn't feel like a confused mess, does it? You're not sat there thinking, well, what was that about? Or why was this character there? Or because you've also got that other woman who's been holding Jack's daughter hostage as well. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But to me, it's handled really well. Like everything seems to come together the way that Andy picks Gwen up and they go to Yanto's sister and then they try and save the kids, and everything seems quite well thought out and plotted.
Yeah, I think now that you said that, that highlights another dark moment though in the episode, because you almost think there's a turning point for Jack and his daughter as well.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because up in the first couple of episodes, it's been a bit frosty between them. Like, she knows that he's not really committed to her or her grandson. His grandson, sorry. She knows that he's a bit of a sort of here today, gone tomorrow, you know, that kind of thing. But in this episode, it's more like, you know, has he turned a corner and wants to be in their life a bit more and is more reliable and stuff? Because there's a bit where she's talking to Johnson and she's like, you know, if you want to solve this thing, then you're going to need the only guy that can do it. So she's like, you know, you're going to need Captain Jack, basically. If you want to save the world, you're going to need my dad. And then she's quite proud, you know. There's a bit where she sees him working away, like you said, the quick wrap up at the laptop at the end, and she sees him buzzing away, and she's almost a sense of pride. And you think, oh, cool, so these two are going to have some sort of reconciliation and all that stuff, you know. But then, yeah, that gets all torn to shreds with the other dark scene, or primarily the other dark scene where, yeah, let's talk about that, where Jack has to, and I use the word has quite importantly there, because it's not an easy decision, I don't think, for Jack to have to make, but it's there, he's on the spot. It's like, what do you do? And it's one of those storytelling formulas that never gets old. It's been used 1,000 times across films and TV and books, where it's like the sacrifice of one or a few to save many. It's an age-old thing, right? But it still works. It still tugs at the heartstrings every time, and you can see in his face, he knows exactly what needs to happen before anyone's even said it. So there's a bit where he's working out the reverse sound wave amplitude thing, and he's like, yeah, I've figured it out, but we don't know a way of actually getting this up to the aliens. And then as soon as that guy Decker says, you know, there is a way, his face just turns and his eyes well up, and that's it. Immediately he's like, nope, must be another way. So then it leads on, obviously, to having to make a decision. But bloody hell, for Captain Jack, he's kind of been run over with a steamroller a few times in this series, hasn't he? Because, like you said, we have that twist a little bit earlier on in, I think it's episode 3 or day 3, where they say, so it was you that sacrificed all those kids back in the 60s. And he's like, oh, yes, yeah, I had to do that. So he kind of feels like he's doing a bad thing, but it has to be done. But now this is like times 1,000 in terms of that sort of thing. And then you've got his daughter that's screaming at him, or, you know, rightly so. And then that's something that we do see. It's not like the Frobisher thing. We do see his grandson literally dying before everyone's eyes. Yeah. So that's a hard thing. So, yeah.
That was a hard watch. And, you know, because the kid as well is so up for, when he doesn't realise he's going to his death, does he? The kid's like, what are we doing, Uncle Jack? What can I do? He's like, sort of keen to help. And it's, Jack's face is just like destroyed, isn't it? I mean, you just, at this point, Jack is a broken man. And it takes a lot. I mean, because of Captain Jack's character, he's a bit full of himself. He's full of all this bravado. And at this point, though, Jack is completely broken, isn't he? He's like, he knows what he's got to do. But like you said, the drama that's created is brilliant, because it's, like you said, it's an age-old thing. But that decision, we all put ourselves in Jack's shoes, and what the hell would you do? You know, what the hell would you do? And it's you almost expect. I mean, you sort of think, okay, we've had the stuff with Frobisher. That was dark. We can't have another scene like that. So I'll be honest, I almost expected the kid to do a bit of a Jack and go and sort of be alive or somehow to survive. I kept thinking he'll open his eyes in a minute and he won't be dead, but he'll be like really badly hurt, but he won't be dead. I kept thinking any minute now. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The kid is dead in his daughter's arms. It's like, my God. And, you know, it's shocking. It's proper shocking. But it does stay with you, doesn't it? It just leaves you sat there thinking, I can't believe it. You know, whereas if he had come back alive, it probably would have taken something away. He'd be like, oh, of course he survived, sort of thing. But he doesn't. They could have done that though, because he's sort of related to Jack. Maybe he could have inherited some of that Jack lives sort of thing, couldn't he? The kid could have gone and come back alive. That would have been something. But
that would, yeah.
I mean, it is unbelievably dark that the kid dies, but I think it's the right decision. It just has to be, in terms of the way this series has unfolded. I just think, yeah, it has to be done for the story to sort of end, unfortunately. But
it does.
But
yeah.
my God, yeah, you
Just
do
another
feel so
half watch.
sorry for Jack, don't you, when he stood there?
Well, you
the
do.
daughter's brilliant
Yeah.
as well. When she's going mad on the door, she's really good. The woman playing his daughter, they sort of really work together, don't they? As brother and sister, they sort of look like they could, as father and daughter. Sorry, they sort of look like they could be related. Those two.
Yeah, they do. It's a shame.
They've just got that look, I think, that sort of straight, yeah, that look.
It's I think about it a bit more. Jack really has gone through it because with these tough decisions and all that stuff. Remember, he was blown to bits at one point as well.
Yeah.
Literally blown to bits.
Literally blown to bits.
And then he lost Yanto, who he was close with. So yeah, he has been through it. So you can understand why he wants a bit of a vacay for a few months.
We don't really get much chance to mourn Yanto, do we? I mean, he's mentioned, and they do. You can see that Jack's broken up about it when he's in the prison, but there's so much else going on. We don't really get much time to sort of stop and mourn Yanto much. I mean, we kind of did it at the end of the last episode anyway, I guess. But
yeah, it's
kind of like Yanto's dead, but I've got to save the world.
Of course, yeah. Oh, Jack. Okay, and then we have the Prime Minister does get a bit of a comeuppance at the end with the lenses, and then whoever the MP or member of whatever, she basically puts the final nail in the coffin quite nicely. She's like, actually, I think you'll find you won't have a job in a few days' time, but I'll happily step into you. So he kind of gets, we know that it's not detailed us in any way, but from that, the few lines that she delivers to him towards the end, we kind of know that he's going to be out the door pretty soon. So that's cool. So we have a little bit of a you've got your comeuppance there a little bit.
Yeah,
it's just at a terrible cost though, because I mean he's the guy who's playing that character is played him very, very well. He's got this very superficial, like throughout the whole thing, he's never concerned once about the actual children that they want to sacrifice or have decided to sacrifice. He doesn't care about that at all. He just cares about getting one over on the Americans who have turned up to interrupt and run the show and steer clear of any blame. He doesn't care about the kids at all. And then, so yeah, it's, he gets it happens, but he plays that part really well though. What's the actor's name? It's,
he's just got that kind of, his perfect face for being quite smug.
Yes,
the actor.
yeah.
He does play. It does make you think, I mean, not sort of to get political and stuff, but it does make you think though, doesn't it? About stuff. I mean, like our government in real life, how they just do anything to cover their own backs, and we kind of just turn a blind eye to it so much. And this, although it's completely, a complete fiction, but it's it does actually sort of relate to real life in some ways. It does mirror real life in some way. Like the vaccination thing, I kept thinking all the way through this, telling people your kids will be vaccinated so that they're immune to the screaming and stuff, and then here we are getting vaccinated for COVID, and we just kind of have to believe our government. It does make you a bit paranoid, doesn't it? Because you sort of think you do have to believe the people in charge, to a certain extent. But then all the stuff, all the lies that we're told, and we kind of just we get angry about it, but then the next day we kind of forget about it, and it's like we shouldn't really. And this is kind of mirroring that, in a fiction way, isn't it? That it's like he's just going to cover up his own back and no one will know any different, but they will, because someone's going to expose you. So although it's ludicrous in some ways and it's just a story, I kept thinking it does make you think about real life and how we just accept everything we're told, and maybe we shouldn't always accept it. I'm not saying we shouldn't get vaccinated, by the way, because I am vaccinated and I'm all for it. I'm just saying, it just makes you think. Even a TV show, it just makes you think about, real life and the government and stuff like that.
No, I read you, man. Yeah, it's a potentially scary thought with that stuff.
Just one thing I got on my notes here, mate, as well, which I actually was going to mention in the beginning, but I didn't. And this story starts with Gwen talking to a video camera, saying about, I hoped we'd have to tell the story, blah, blah, blah. Now, as the story progresses, we get to see more of that video. And actually, she starts that message by talking about the doctor. She's like, Jack used to talk about this guy, the doctor, and I'm wondering why he isn't here to save us, and maybe sometimes he looks away because he's too ashamed. I thought that was brilliant, because actually up to this point I haven't asked myself, where is the Doctor while all this is going on? So they don't explain it. They don't say why the Doctor isn't there to save it. But it's a good question, isn't it? And I really like the fact they acknowledge it. Like Gwen saying, where is this Doctor guy that he always talks about that saves us? But it just goes to show the Doctor can't be everywhere at once. He can't save the world every time. So, but where was the Doctor at this point? I have a feeling somebody's answered this, and I can't find it online, but I have a feeling that maybe Russell or someone has said, oh, well, this was set during the time when... But I can't remember. I don't know.
Yes.
But where was the Doctor? Where do you reckon he was?
I'm not. Yeah, because I think that when Gwen's delivering those lines, it's kind of meant to put across that 9 times out of 10 the Doctor is there to save the planet if something big's going down.
Yeah.
But because she's in such a bad place at that point, I think she's just saying, why would the Doctor turn up and save the planet when we've acted so badly?
Yeah, exactly, which is a great line.
Yeah, so I don't think that would translate necessarily to the Doctor. I think regardless of what's happened, I think the Doctor's always got this sense of, humans have got a long way to go. They're still learning. That kind of thing that we've heard the Doctor say a few times already. So I think she's just putting across a bit of her own internal feeling on it and trying to... But yeah, where is the Doctor, though? Because it is quite a big... sort of planet. I wouldn't say the planet's about to be obliterated or anything like that, but this is a big old thing.
I'm sure somebody's answered it. I think it was Russell. I think he said, if you think about it, this is set in sort of modern day Earth, isn't it? And I think at the time, I'm trying to think, who was the Doctor at this point? Is it still Tennant or is it Matt? I don't know. I think somebody has said, this was set during when the Doctor was captured and tied up here. I don't know. There's a reason he's not around.
Probably, yeah. This would be Matt,
someone will
though,
have
right?
answered it.
I think this would be...
Is this Matt, is it? 2009, I guess it would be.
Hold on, for 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9... Oh, no, it would be... Well, it would just... Well, it might be that in-betweeny moment. Or maybe Tennant still. I don't know.
Well, like the specials moment?
Yes, yeah.
It could be, yeah. Don't know. Somebody listening will know. But yeah, just made me think. But I like the fact they acknowledge it and they mention the Doctor because... It's a good question, where is the Doctor? But also it just goes to show he can't always save the Earth, sometimes we've got to try and save it ourselves.
I'll read you. Yeah, I wonder what the Doctor would have done though if he had have turned up. Like, how would he have figured out another way?
If it was Jodie's Doctor, she'd have turned up and got the Sonic out, took a few readings, and probably just, don't know, talked it to death probably. 2000. So this would have been during the. This is probably during the 4th series, I think. So series 3. Oh no, hang on. Series 4. Sorry, was 2008 to 2010. Is that right?
Yeah.
2008. I'm trying to think when the specials were. God, it's scary to think it was this long ago, dude. It doesn't feel like it. So the specials started in December 2008. So we're sort of midway through the specials, I think, in the timeline, but of course timelines in Doctor Who don't really mean much anyway, do they? So
exactly, mate.
Probably best not to think about it. Let's just say he was tied up doing other things.
Yeah. Okay, let's finish up on where Gwen and Rhys leave us at the end then. So, like I mentioned at the beginning, those guys are in a fairly good place, a really good place now. We've kind of left behind all of the gumph from the previous 2 series where Gwen was a bit of a naughty girl and flirting with Jack all the time. They seem to have just ditched all that. It's just not needed. And we felt really sorry for Rhys, didn't we, in those series, because he's a really good guy. He's like, he's
a great,
really good guy, and she didn't really treat him that well. But now they've turned a corner and they're all good. So we know that Gwen's back for the next series of Torchwood, and I think Rhys is there too. I'm pretty sure that Rhys is there. Kai Owen's back.
Has she got a baby? That's what I'm trying to think. Are we going to see a baby in Miracle Day? Because I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe Rhys is at home as like a... no, I'm not even joking. I can't remember, but maybe he's at home looking after it. I really can't remember Miracle Day at all.
Yeah,
I don't,
no, I
to
can't.
the
Not with a
extent that
baby.
I don't
anyway.
even.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I finished watching it. How many episodes is it? 10.
I mean, that's still shorter than series 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So I think they contributed in giving the story and this episode a little bit of a positive spin at the end, because we said a few times now how dark the story is and whatnot, but I think the character progression for those two, and especially at the end when they're off, I think that's that was a really good wrap up. And if it was the last Torchwood we'd ever seen, that would have been a nice ending for them too.
Yeah, I think it's a good ending actually, and I think I appreciate it more now than I did at the time. I think I felt at the time like, oh, okay, like that's that, but I feel it was that, where does Torchwood go from here? Whereas watching it again last night, if that had have been the end of Torchwood, I think it's a good place to put a pin in it, because you've sort of lost most of Torchwood. Owen and Tosh, now Yanto, and also the woman that was in the first episode who does get a name check, and I've forgotten her name. She gets a mention. And Jack's gone off to do whatever Jack's going to do, and Reese and Gwen are going off to start a family, and that they seem in a good place in it. So it's a good place to put a pin in it. So if there hadn't have been any more Torchwood, I think it would have been. It's a great series to go out on. It leaves you wanting more, and I think it's a good ending. Really, it's a slightly bleak ending, but it's not a depressing ending. It's a sort of a. I can't think of any other way to say it. It's a Torchwood ending, isn't it? Like Torchwood has always had this slightly glass half empty feel to it.
Yeah,
in the sense that it's not all light and fun. It's not Doctor Who. It's an adult Doctor Who where people don't always survive, and it's a more dangerous sort of world, and so it feels like the right ending for Torchwood in a way, in that sense.
I think so. Yeah, I think so, dude. Right. Anything else on your notes, buddy?
No, not really. No, I think I've pretty much covered it.
Okay. Right. Let's go on to scores then. Have I got anything? Oh, the music was very cool. There was a good, a really good combination of, this is Ben Foster again, a really good combination of like the emotional stuff, especially the scene where Jack is sacrificing Stephen towards the end. That was a really big build up of emotional music. That was very cool. So yeah, another good one. I've really liked Ben Foster's music throughout this series. It's been really good. Like I don't want to make a comparison with Murray Gold's music if they decided to hire Murray for it. I'm sure that would have been equally as good, but I think he's just done a really good job of not having to rely on Murray Gold. Put it that way. I think it's been really cool.
Yeah, no, the music was good now, I thought. Yeah.
Yes.
All the way through. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Scores. I think it's you to go first.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give this a solid 8, and I think that's pretty much what I've rated every episode of this series so far. So the series as a whole is an 8 out of 10, and just to sort of quickly recap, I think it's been a brilliant series. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's peak Torchwood. Every cast member is firing on all cylinders. It's been a really good series to revisit, and I'm glad about that, because I liked it at the time. Sometimes when you go back and watch things, especially when you sort of think you know the outcome and stuff, you think it might not stand up as well as you remembered it. This has actually been better, if anything. And I think we mentioned it probably on day 1 or 3. I don't know. We said it was like real classic sci-fi television. It's great sci-fi. And just a brilliant series. So, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, okay. I'm going to give this an 8.5, slightly higher than you.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because it's a really solid, mature, not mature as in old, but mature as in in a good way. A really, really good, solid watch. So although it is bleak in quite a few places and it's dark, I think that was just Russell really sticking to his guns with that and not having a big old happily ever after. Aren't we amazing for stopping the aliens? And I think that would have done a disservice to the rest of the story prior to this episode. So I'm much respect to him for that. And the performances were really good as well. Loved the performances throughout this one.
And I do feel, and I think you'll probably agree with me, that I do feel that he trod the line between dark and like, although it has left an overall impression on me, I haven't come away from it feeling really depressed or, oh God, what a downer of a series. It's left a positive sort of view in my mind of the series as a whole, even though it was dark. So I think they've managed to tread that line really well between doing a good, like you said, adult dark series, but without being overly depressing or bleak. Do you know what I mean? Like some series, you just sort of come out of it thinking, God, that was, you come away just never wanting to watch it again, because it's like once was enough. Even if you enjoyed it, I can't watch that again. Whereas with Torchwood Children of Earth, I think I would happily watch this all the way through again, even knowing what I know is coming. It was, it's trod a good line, isn't it? Between being grown up, yeah.
Yes, indeedy. And okay, so that's, well, we're at the end of Children of Earth. That was day
series.
5, and 8 from him and 8.5 from me. What did our listeners think? So over on Twitter, we had Doctor Who Home says, it's weird. You'd expect it to not stick the landing, but it does. Extremely gripping, tense, exciting, heartbreaking, and some damn good Torchwood. Jack's sacrifice is horrific, but at the same time adds some weight to the climax. 8 out of 10, poor Frobisher. Yeah.
Poor Frobisher.
Will Sanger says, a fantastic conclusion to a great 5-part story. You wouldn't expect things to get more tragic. Everything from Frobisher's fate, the ending is just harrowing drama. The motives of the 456 also show the disturbing potential of adult sci-fi. Overall, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Sam Dooley says, greatest episode of the entire show. Perfectly paced conclusion with dynamic cinematography, excellent performances and beautiful music. To choose a standout moment would be a crime when the entire episode from beginning to end is perfect. A 10 out of 10.
10, okay.
And Chippy T says, thought the first 30 minutes were a bit slow, the last 30 minutes a lot better. The sacrifice was horrific, but the ease of the defeat of the 456 didn't catch for me. Basically reversed the polarity of the neutron flow.
It was a bit of an easy fix, I'll give it that.
Yeah, overall overall a success, but that last episode is always tricky. 8 for me and 8.5 for the series.
Okay.
And over on Facebook, we had Tim Allen, who's left a really long review, so I won't read all of it. Basically says, I was never a big fan of Torchwood. I thought it was often silly, ill-judged and rather juvenile in its attempt to be all grown up and provocative. But then came Children of Earth. I was intrigued by the idea of the show, promoted from the backwaters of BBC 3 all the way to the promised land of primetime BBC 1, and stripped over a single week. And what a revelation it was. And then goes on to say, the follow-up was Miracle Day, and spoilers, that was rubbish. Children of Earth, though, was most definitely not. I give it a 9 out of 10 and would probably give it a 10 had it not been for the misjudged climax. So a really good score from Tim, a 9 out of 10. Yeah, his next comment is, I'm not sure that counts as a mini review, but yeah, thank you very much, Tim. And then Joseph Howarth says, this has been a clear roller coaster ride for Torchwood. It's bleak, dark, yet it's the best thing the show has ever done. And again, it clearly shows. It's that good of a 5-part special. So much drama, great performances, and the ending was a real tearjerker. Highly recommended to anyone who wants to watch a great piece of work for this show. A 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Wow, okay.
Some strong scores there, dude.
Yeah,
from our listeners.
definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And as we mentioned earlier, and I'm going to confirm now, I think that is the best that Torchwood's ever been for us, dude. So we'll see how Miracle Day goes, but from memory, I don't think it's as strong as this one.
I said to you earlier, I can't even remember if I finished watching it, which doesn't bode well. And what a shame after such a strong series. But you never know. Maybe we'll view it through different eyes. Let's see. We will be moving on to it fairly soon. We've got it on the schedule, haven't we? So we'll definitely move on to Miracle Day and see how that fares out. But I'm sort of dreading it and excited at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, same, dude. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Okie dokie then, mate. So what have we got next week for review then?
Next week's bit of Fourth Doctor storytelling. We're going down Pit with the creature from Pit.
We're off down to Pit.
We're off down to Pit.
To see creature from
See
Pit.
that creature.
Creature from the Pit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think we've... when's the last time we did any Tom? I don't think we've done any Tom this year at all so far.
Have we not?
No. So the first Tom story. Creature from the Pit.
Blimey.
Okay. And on that revelation, I think we'll end it there for 346.
Alrighty.
Thank you for listening to this week's Big Blue Box podcast. That was episode 346. It was great to have you here. New time as newcomers to the episode and to the Big Blue Box. It's great to have you. And long-time listeners, the old grizzled ancients, it's great to have you back, of course, listening to us waffle on about Doctor Who. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, make sure you follow and subscribe to the podcast. You can do that in your fave podcast app. Just do a search for the Big Blue Box podcast. You'll find us on there. A new show drops every single Friday. And if you want to listen in your browser, if you're at work or you're in front of a computer, whatever, just head over to bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all the episodes for free there as well. Plus, you can check out the reviews and articles from the writing team. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Links are on the website, or do a search for us. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week, so come and get involved there. And we have a free Discord server, and you can hop in there and chat Doctor Who with other Who fans. And if you're using something like Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, or you're on podchaser.com, something like that, if you want to leave us a review, if you like the show and you want to tell us your thoughts and give us a rating, that would be awesome, because that helps us out loads and loads. Also, check out Adam's channel over on YouTube. As I've said, don't forget to go and check that out. It is, of course, The Geek's Handbag.
Yeah, The Geek's Handbag. Also on all the socials, apart from TikTok, obviously. So Twitter and Insta. Love a bit of Insta.
He's everywhere.
And Facebook, for those of you that still use it.
He's everywhere, so go and check him out. Get a cup of tea, get comfy, and check out Adam's vids. All good stuff over there. Until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,